The pride's maturing young males, the bachelors-to-be, are keeping a low profile. The adult males will not tolerate their presence much longer. These sub-adult males will leave their pride and form a bachelor coalition when they reach about 2.5 years old. At 5 years old, they will look for a pride of their own. It's a big step. In an unforgiving world without the support of their pride behind them. And it's getting drier. There are no farewells. They must travel beyond the scent-marked boundaries of their mother's territory and into the ranges of neighboring prides. Now they are nomads and trespassers, forced on the move to keep out of trouble. The two new young bachelors take time to cement their strong bond. This head-rubbing relates to scent sharing, another thing that unites them. But what really unites them is strength in numbers. They need each other. They also need food, something their pride females have always provided. In this new and unknown part of the veldt, there is prey. But the young lion's inexperience counts against them. The bachelor duo will have to start small. Ostriches lay eggs in the open. The female on guard has no choice but to move on as the boys feast. It's a modest meal, but better than nothing. In time, the young wanderers develop the distinctive adult mane. Older and more powerful, they are still intruders at another pride's waterhole. This male is not old enough to be alone. His pride must be somewhere near. Traveling at the tail of the mass of dark bodies are the tan and lithe, Thompson's gazelles. These grazers find sustenance in grasses others have abandoned, but they are still fair game. The resident pride is ruled by a single male, and as ever, it's the females who do most of the work. Ambush is always preferable when the terrain presents perfect cover. Young gazelles that can't read the warning signs run into trouble. The lioness is unaware of new males, the bachelor duo, in her pride's territory, and takes her catch off to eat. But the boys are hungry. Pride lions don't share food, females or territory, with outsiders. The lioness is alone, her pride some distance away. She's wary of this unknown, intruding male. And there are two of them. There are always others who will deal with the leftovers. Another clan of hyenas and their pups also have a den in the resident pride's territory. The pups are boisterous and playful. Even at this young age, they have a voice. Their distinctive cackling howl is well developed, but this is not the time or place to advertise their presence. The resident pride has already ousted its sub-adult males, but one returns to scrounge some of the kill. It's a big mistake. Once lowly sub-adults themselves, our bachelor males are now 4 years old and make a formidable team. They have yet to encounter the resident pride, but are approaching a key milestone in their maturity. The extermination of the competition. Like the cheetah cubs slain by the first pride, the hyena cubs are potential targets. They are not powerful hunters now, but from a lion's brutal perspective, they are rivals. Babysitting adult hyenas are too few and have no choice but to flee. The offspring underground will have to trust in their luck, but it's all bad.
There's another great herbivore that the lions of the great Ruaha River have no fear of bringing down. As the sun sets, a giraffe ventures into the lion's territory. It's not an easy catch for the big cats, but they have their ways. The rest of the herd helplessly watches. A huge success for the pride. The lionesses have succeeded again. Testament to their skill, courage, and determination. This feast may just be enough to keep them going until the rains come. It's August and the peak of the dry season, and the river becomes more and more the oasis where animals congregate. Water levels are dropping fast in a land that seems to get drier by the year. A stampede of Cape buffalo migrate down to the river from the barren hills, looking for more grass to eat. The dry season is more intense this year, which forces thirsty buffalo herds to amass into one big super herd. Weighing an average of 1,700 pounds, these solid beasts are a force to be reckoned with. Excited by the scent of water, they make a beeline for the riverbed. They each need around 10 gallons of water every day, so the instinct to drink is strong. The Ruaha was once a powerful river that never ran dry. Modern farming practices and climate change have had a major impact. So these days, the water is a long way from its original banks. But this is a good thing for a predator. The buffalo don't realize they've fallen into a trap. Our lionesses are not afraid of a herd of big wild bovines. For a big cat, these are normally one of the most dangerous prey animals to mess with. But in this particular part of Africa, these girls have the chops to get the job done. Buffalo have never had any tolerance for lions. They are highly protective of each other and will not hesitate to do battle with a cat. The alpha female waits patiently for the right moment. The lioness's pack hunting strategies need to be especially coordinated when it comes to this particular prey. These solid horns are over 3 feet across, a very dangerous weapon to work around. The herd senses the cats are close by. The chief lioness prepares to attack. Her twisted ears and steady stare signal she is ready. The rest of the pride fans out across the riverbed. Their job is to panic the herd and drive it toward their boss, who blocks the river's only exit. She must attack right at the moment when the buffalo climb the riverbank. This is when they're at their most vulnerable. A young buffalo is singled out. But the herd isn't having any of it. Their instinct is to protect their own. The lion's hunting technique normally works with a small group of animals, but the super herd makes it impossible. These hunters are faced with a new challenge. They must up their game, adapt, or starve. They continue to circle the herd, looking for any opportunity to isolate one of the younger beasts without getting gored. It's a tense face-off. Neither side is going to back down. The lions must find the Achilles heel of the herd. A brave cub is game to try. Today, the lions admit defeat. The buffalo have sheer numbers on their side. But the lionesses need only be patient and wait, for water and grass are growing scarcer. This is the season for catching big prey. The buffalo still have some greenery to eat by the river for now. It's hot, and their dark coats make them even hotter. Their horns are filled with blood vessels that help disperse the excess heat, but it's not enough. Mud baths are needed as well. The mud also helps stop pesky bugs. Meanwhile, alone from the group, the alpha female sends out an urgent call for help. If the lionesses don't eat soon, they will no longer be able to suckle their cubs. The others help amplify the message. A lion's roar can travel as much as 5 miles. Their message is received by the father of the cubs and his brother. They quickly respond. Lions and lionesses rarely hunt together, but the mothers are getting desperate and need the brute strength of the males. Weighing about 170 pounds more than a female, The males have that edge for bringing down the African buffalo. The cubs seem to appreciate their father's presence. A pride's strength and survival lie in its sense of family. A change in tactics. The time has come to hunt at night. The buffalo have left the riverbed to spend the night on a cooler plateau. The lionesses take up their positions while the males sit back. The herd senses their presence and bellow warning cries to each other. It's time for the alpha male to make his move. He prepares to go on the offensive. By the banks of the great Ruaha River, our lion pride attempts to kill at night. The buffalo herd rallies around their most vulnerable. They can't see the lions, but can smell them. The herd panics. The lions bring down a young buffalo, but a big bull bites back, and the rest of the herd gains composure to close ranks. Coordinated and brave, they launch their counteroffensive. The lions are defeated again. Now the group's survival is threatened. The lionesses must eat if they're to nurse their young. It's September. The dry season continues to sap the land of any sustenance. Our pride of mothers have not had a decent meal in days, and their cubs are ever hungry. The last thing they need is a herd of elephants moving in on their territory. This region is home to one of the largest elephant populations in Africa. And these giant mammals have little patience for lions and will actively disrupt their hunts. The elephants are on their own mission to find a decent drink. They are constantly on the move to find the next water source, and this shrinking riverbed is next on their path. The elephants get straight to work, marking their new territory. The female elephants are ferociously protective of their calves. The lions tread carefully and back away for now, while the elephants continue to make the message very clear. Caught in a pincer movement, the lion family continues to retreat. Elephants rule, and now this river is theirs. Or what's left of it. The water level is desperately low. Elephants need a lot of clean water, and this water is not. Too many animals have polluted it as they pass through. Siphoned off by hundreds of giant greedy straws, the level drops even further. It soon becomes a massive meeting of thirsty elephants. All the animals want the same thing, but the Ruaha River is unable to support them. The state of the river has reversed the balance of power. The lions that once reigned over the great Ruaha River are now bullied by the big herbivores. It's become impossible to hunt or even get a drink. It's early October in Ruaha National Park, Tanzania. Now that the buffalo and elephants are hogging the river, our lion family must make do with a stagnant pool to quench their thirst. The adults can go for several days without water, but not the cubs. And they desperately need to make a kill, soon. The cubs drain the last of their mother's milk. The Ruaha is practically a river of sand now. The buffalo also make do with the last drops it has to offer, but they are taking more and more risks and venturing onto unstable ground, quicksand. Water is trapped underneath and causes the sand to become so saturated it barely supports any weight and makes it impossible to run. A perfect opportunity for a hunting carnivore. The cats watch their every move, and this small group of buffalo so far hasn't seen them. The lioness only hesitates for an instant. The victim of this lightning-quick attack is another young bull, which are often found straying from the main herd. The adults come to the rescue, but it's too late. The male lion intervenes to keep them at bay. The buffalo carcass makes a most welcome feast, and 15 greedy mouths jostle for a piece of the meat. Hunger makes them forget their manners. This is a life-saving pile of protein for the big cats. The alpha male decides he wants the lion's share for himself. He confiscates the carcass and hides it under a tree, out of the reach of rivals and scavengers. It's mid-October now, and the rains should be here soon, but so far, there's no sign of them. The lion cubs are really starving now, unable to take milk from their moms. The lionesses are very weak, but continue to wander the deserted, dry riverbed. The water is completely gone. It's like a white-hot furnace, and most of the other animals have fled. The pride takes refuge in the shade of an old baobab tree. Struck down by the heat, harassed by flies, they pant to cool down. Their exhausted bodies bear the scars of all the battles they've fought so far. The dry season is relentless. A cub attempts one last feed, but mother is done. No more than skin and bone. They're in danger of dying if they don't suckle soon. In a particularly brutal dry season, the buffalo of the Ruaha scatter into smaller groups to increase their chances of finding water. They discover an old hole that was dug by elephants, and some manage a few desperate sips. But their mooing has alerted our lionesses and one of the male lions. Their instinct to hunt and survive overrules their exhaustion. They twist their ears, ready for a pack hunt. The buffalo are forever on the alert, but the foam at their mouths betrays their desperate thirst and state of weakness. And again they congregate in the sand, which makes acceleration impossible if they should need to run. The alpha lioness takes charge and initiates the attack, immediately followed by the rest of the pride. This hunt's success is crucial to their survival. The buffalo panic. Running in all directions, they try to escape the trap in the river of sand, and the lions try their best to stop them. In one final burst of speed, the buffalo make it across the pass. The hunt appears to have failed. But our lead lioness manages to cut off a lone bull just before he leaps up the bank. She goes straight for his throat while her sister attempts to break his spine. The male moves in fast and closes his steel jaws around the bull's muzzle. It's the kiss of death. The big cats invest all their strength in this savage combat. and it's another one down for the buffalo. Like the great hunter that he is, the male lion sits atop his trophy. He may be king of this kill, but the lionesses were the brains behind the attack. And the cubs are always welcome to snack. The great carnivores have no problem butchering the beast. Assailed on all sides, the buffalo's life ebbs away. The lion cubs are conveniently sized to explore the victim's insides. This time the pack hunting strategy paid off. They're all good for now. With full bellies, life suddenly seems a little more pleasant. The very youngest are able to drink their mother's milk once again. Once they've had their fill, the cubs have the energy to play kitten. Our family of lions have so far pulled through in desperate times. What hasn't killed them so far has only made them stronger. The older lion cubs are growing fast, and their first hunt is on the horizon. But they still have time to sneak a moment to cuddle with Mom. A big hunt under his belt triggers the male lion's drive to breed. The king first shows who's boss with the other boys, and then begins his pursuit of the appropriate females. For the next 4 days, he will mate with her about every 25 minutes. The pride makes the most of this moment of respite from the dry season. But the ordeal is not over yet. It's late October now in Tanzania, Africa. The heat wave takes its toll on every creature that still breathes. The lion's attention switches to the elephants. Even in the riverbed, the most green vegetation has disappeared, and the large herbivores are left to graze in the dust. Without their beloved mud baths, they powder themselves for protection from the sun and parasites. With their feet, elephants have the amazing ability to feel the vibration of water deep underground. They dig wells to reach it. The older females constantly maintain them so that the whole group can drink. And with their powerful infrasonic rumblings, they inform other families for miles around that they are welcome to drink here too. But there's an elephant pecking order to consider. The youngest must always go first. A mother tugs the trunk of a teenager who's hogging the tiny waterhole. Mom is also watching for lions, who wait for one false step from the mother elephant. Their plan is simple, to somehow isolate an elephant calf. But the youngest are always sheltered at the heart of the herd, under constant supervision. The lions manage to isolate 2 adults and 2 youngsters, but the matriarch has an eagle eye, and she won't hesitate to repel her enemy violently. The lionesses know the full power of an elephant, and decide it's time to leave them alone. The biggest herbivores on Earth need around 300 pounds of vegetation every day, easily stripping the acacia trees bare. A herd of them will leave total destruction in their wake. Not good for a landscape already devastated by drought. The baobab trees are a little more hardy than most. Also known as the upside-down tree, they can be as old as 1,000 years and able to store many thousands of gallons of water in their trunks. This makes them attractive to elephants who tear the tree apart for the moist bark. Mostly their wounds heal from the destruction. But sometimes, elephants can cause their decline. By early November, the dry season forces the clan of elephants out of the area and towards the source of the river in the south. The last of the buffalo move on too. Options for the lion's lunch are now few and far between. They have no choice but to stay put. These big cats are going to stick with their territory, and the lion cubs would never survive a migration. All they can do is sit tight and wait for the rains to return, and make do with what's left on offer to eat. Lions also have a skill set to hunt down smaller, more nimble prey. Mongoose gives them a run for their money. Or bat-eared foxes, tough little predators themselves that put up a pretty good fight. An opportunity to teach, the mother lion gives the prize to her daughter. An early taste of the hunt. But the other cubs are in danger of going hungry. There's another great herbivore that the lions of the great Ruaha River have no fear of bringing down. As the sun sets, a giraffe ventures into the lion's territory. It's not an easy catch for the big cats, but they have their ways. The rest of the herd helplessly watches. A huge success for the pride. The lionesses have succeeded again, testament to their skill, courage, and determination. This feast may just be enough to keep them going until the rains come. The giraffe family seems to want to pay tribute to their unlucky companion. The scars on their flanks reflect their ongoing battle with the lions. but an occasional loss is inevitable. A week goes by. The pride jealously guards the remains of the carcass and tries their best to keep the scavengers at bay. But vultures and jackals need to eat too. Keeping them away is definitely going to be a losing battle. It's curious how the giraffes cannot bring themselves to leave the scene. Perhaps it's a form of mourning for the herd. It's mid-November, already 3 weeks after the giraffe kill. Other animals fall victim to the drought. And others find ways to cope. Like all birds, ostriches can't sweat, so they fan themselves with their huge feathers. Zebras and baboons, like the elephants, are also able to dig for water. And impalas take advantage of their expertise. Each species has its own way of hanging on in these tough times. Even the lionesses have learned to dig for water. These lions are real survivors, appearing to adapt quickly to the unpredictable climate. December. There's finally a distinct change in the air. Cooler, windier, noisier, and humid. Finally, the rains arrive. Almost 2 months late. The great Ruaha River resumes its flow, slowly. And the animals quench a very deep thirst. The drought is defeated once again. Our Ruaha lionesses have won this year's battle against the Big Dry and saved their family. They adapted, survived, and certainly got their revenge.
Thousands of baby wildebeest are delivered within 3 weeks of each other. This tactic overwhelms predators and ensures that a large percentage of calves survive. With helpless prey so plentiful, the lion's stalk is almost redundant. cat and mouse Serengeti style. The lionesses are not hungry, but such easy prey is hard to resist. Lions are not the only predators at work. Hyenas, too, are swift to take advantage of the surplus source of food. There is no killing bite. Their victims are disemboweled and die within a few minutes. In turn, their nourishment will benefit their demanding offspring. The cheetah is mindful of other predators that are direct threats to her cubs. Moving dens is risky. Lionesses are very tolerant with their own cubs, but savagely intolerant of any other predator's offspring. Relocating is never safe when there are predators around. Only one cheetah cub can be moved at a time, and this leaves those waiting all too vulnerable. It's one life lost. Only half of all cheetah cubs make it to 3 months. Two males provide a more secure home for their offspring. Lion cubs' hunting skills are usually honed by play. Older males spend their rest periods a little less actively. Lions relax up to 21 hours a day. It's a respite in the last days of the dry season, but salvation is on the horizon. Transformation is at hand. The sky begins to bruise as storm clouds cover the pride's territory. Wildebeest follow rain clouds in anticipation of new green shoots. Relief at last. The herd's front-runners arrive in the lion's territory. The adolescent males, the bachelors-to-be, are tolerated by the new pride males, but they'll soon be forced to find their own pride. The invader males are now fully integrated into the pride. One savors the rich pickings to come. The other does what a lion does most of all. It's the start of the wet season overabundance, and just as well, as there are now more mouths to feed. In a secluded acacia scrub, our lead lioness gives birth to the new male's offspring, 3.5 months after conception. She seeks seclusion at this time to minimize the risk to her newborns. Her cubs are born totally helpless, and it can take 11 days for their eyes to open. These cubs are lucky. They will have no other cubs in competition for milk when they're old enough to join the pride. But to get sustenance, they have to find their mother's teat. The oncoming herds of wanderers are now pouring into the pride's territory. The lions are spoiled for choice. Pride males rarely hunt for themselves. With their manes, they are far too conspicuous to potential prey. Their main function is to defend the pride against rival bachelors. The numbers of the arriving herds are astonishing. But that number is about to swell dramatically. Again, their courtship. They rarely conceive on their first estrus after a takeover. They need assurance that the new lions are strong enough to protect the pride and that they are here to stay. They mate frequently over 4 days. The former nomads are now the pride protectors. These juvenile males, bachelors-to-be, enjoy all the advantages of a stable pride. For now. In time, they will take on the mantle that every successful lion must bear. Like their new protectors, They will become nomads until old enough to take a pride of their own. Being pride protectors has its benefits. The females do most of the work. But why kill when cheetahs will do it for you? Lions are opportunists and prefer to minimize risk. They are much more powerful than the more slender cheetahs. Even at 3 against 1, it's no contest. Superior strength also applies within the pride, but this lioness is tenacious. Not hungry enough to take the kill, the lion breaks off his chase. Although prey is scarce now, the pride has been successfully hunting on the outer reaches of their territory and sometimes targeting unusual prey. The big cats claim a vantage point in acacia trees. The males hang back, too conspicuous in an ambush. One well-aimed kick from an adult giraffe could kill Africa's biggest cat. But at this time of year, hunger outweighs the risk of a flying defensive hoof. Young giraffes rely on their mothers to lead them out of trouble. The hunters change tactics. Their prey follows suit. A giraffe mother's next best defense is to hide her babies in the undergrowth. The hunt becomes a deadly game of hide and seek. A young giraffe is too exposed. Its mother wasn't strong enough to save it. She'll be forced to abandon the acacia forest to give her future offspring a chance of survival. The lions, too, are forced farther out to widen their net. Baboons rarely feature on their hit list. Adult males armed with big teeth defend their troops. Hunger is an all-powerful incentive. Baboons are vulnerable while foraging on or near the ground. They use their numbers to deter attackers. They can mob and injure big cats, but an empty belly prompts bold action. Her only chance of a meal is a lone monkey caught off guard.